Steve Bannon has been on a media rampage.
They have to be stopped.
The existential threat to President Trump's administration.
Techno-feudalists, they don't give a flying f***. It's going to destroy not just this country, it's going to destroy the world.
And it has caused quite the stir on the internet. We are 4 weeks into Trump 2.0, and the MAGA-Right and Tech-Right continue their ongoing civil war. And you would think it would be the perfect opportunity for the Democrats to exploit.
You should see how afraid of Trump I am.
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I do not want to be here.
Pathetic!
Well done.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Bless. Former White House strategist and MAGA's philosopher King Steve Bannon has gone on a media crusade doing Piers Morgan, GB News and the New York Times, getting the attention of millions, and we are going to get into the big revelations. But before that, if you want to support this show, all you have to do is press subscribe. Now, here's his message to his fellow travelers in the Trump 2.0 movement.
And I tell people when they first come in, they want to be in leadership roles. I said, listen, you got to do a deep check here because we're going up against the established order that controls the most powerful nation in the history of the earth. They will send you to prison or, in Trump's case, and I've warned about this, assassination. So I said, if you're not prepared to go to prison, if you're not prepared to sacrifice your life, you're in the wrong line of work.
Not only is he sending a message to his fellow travelers of the MAGA movement, but he also sent a chilling warning to the deep state establishment.
The J6 people were so arrogant, so cocky in Justice Department because they never thought Trump's people were coming back, and now they're petrified. And I hear that Jack Smith's team is quite upset that they didn't get pardons. I will just tell them, lawyer up. You might want to check countries that don't have treaties with the United States. Right? You might want to look at, living the rest of your life there because investigations are going to happen.
This includes retired General Mark Milley.
General Milley must be recalled to active duty. He must go before a military tribunal under the laws of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is different than civilian law here. General Milley has to be tried for treason.
Well, we already know what Trump's opinion of the retired general is.
That's when I realized he was a fucking idiot.
The MAGA-Right versus Tech-Right civil war has escalated again, and here is Bannon speaking with the New York Times.
Elon had the first awakening because he could kind of, as an engineer, you could kind of see the math. Even Andreessen, they're all super progressive liberals. They're all techno-feudalists. They don't give a flying about the human being, and I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, they don't care. And they have to be stopped. If we don't stop it, and we don't stop it now, it's going to destroy not just this country, it's going to destroy the world.
Now let's get into a segment I call, Which Side Are You On?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Bannon's MAGA-Right or Elon Musk's Tech-Right?
They're complete atheistic 11-year-old boys.
Bannon explains his concerns with what he sees as the ideology of the Tech-Right transhumanists and how it will lead to what he calls techno-feudalism.
In techno-feudalism, you're just a digital serf. You're valued as a human being, as someone built and made in the image and likeness of God and endowed with the life spirit of the Holy Spirit. Is not, they don't consider that. Everything's digital to them. They are, at the end of the day, transhumanist. And what is transhumanist? Transhumanist is somebody who sees Homo sapien here and Homo sapien plus, right? Plus on the other side, what they call the singularity. And that's why they're all rushing, whether it's artificial intelligence, regenerative robotics, quantum computing, advanced chip design, CRISPR, biotech, all of it to come to this point of which the oligarchs are going to lead that revolution. And why are they going to do it? Number one, when you get to know them and see where they're spending the money, it's because they want eternal life. You know why? Because they're complete atheistic 11-year-old boys that are kind of science fiction, Dungeons and Dragons guys. And we've turned the nation over to that. And yes, I'm going to fight it every step of the way.
Bannon calls out the Tech-Right as globalists.
You talk about the globalists, and I want to mention a few people who might be viewed as globalists to some. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, even Elon Musk.
These people are all progressive Democrats. They're all globalists. They're all oligarchs, and they're techno-feudalists because they don't really believe in the democratic process, okay? These guys are all the wealthiest guys in the world. They're quite dangerous.
Bannon has a problem with Musk's transhumanism.
Brother Musk is probably the farthest down the line because he's the most advanced in shipping. So I think Neurolink is one of the most aggressive about Homo sapien 1.0 or Homo sapien 2.0. Elon is at the tip of this, and Elon is actually on an applied engineering basis, not bullshit talk. He is probably the farthest advanced for transhumanism.
Now, Bannon and Musk have been at each other's throats for years. Bannon last month called Musk a truly evil guy. Their beef goes back to at least 2018 when Bannon called Musk an immature man-child, to which Musk replied, "Can Steve Bannon please insult me more? Best PR I've had in a while." In 2023, Musk tweeted, "I used to think Bannon was smart and evil, but now I realize I was wrong about the first part." Even last week, Elon replied to a tweet, "Bannon is a great talker, but not a great doer. What did he get done this week? Nothing." Despite this beef, Bannon was surprisingly flattering about Musk, despite maintaining deep criticisms. Listen to this.
I've been the biggest critic of Elon Musk, but I've also been his biggest supporter. And I know people don't see the support side.
Now, if Bannon hates the tech broligarchs so much, why then did the MAGA-Right do a deal with the devil? I'm going to get into that and the real differences between the two sides in one moment. Because the Tech-Right is not the only thing troubling Steve Bannon. Bannon was in court this week to plead guilty to a fraud charge related to his involvement with the We Build the Wall, a private fundraising campaign aimed at constructing a wall along the US southern border. Bannon initially pled not guilty, but in the end pleaded guilty for a deal to avoid jail time. Bannon saw the whole thing as lawfare, and this is what he said outside court.
The existential threat to President Trump's administration, and I mean Doge, Elon Musk, Secretary Treasury Bessent, Russ Vought, Stephen Miller, all of his people. The existential threat is right here in this city.
Now let's see how the media are covering it. Left-leaning Wonkette ran the headline, "Steve Bannon dodges prison for a world where Steve Bannon is obsolete." Now let's use Ground News to see how the rest of the media is covering it. We specifically asked them to partner with us because their app and website has allowed me and my team to quickly see through the media bias on any story in the news cycle, from left and right news sources. There are over 160 articles published on Bannon's court case, and we can access every single one on Ground News with context on each source. Now, right-leaning The Gateway pundit wrote, "Steve Bannon pleads guilty in the latest lawfare case involving private donations effort that successfully built miles of border wall when Congress wouldn't." A starkly different narrative to the previous headline. Seeing all sides, regardless of political leaning, is important in making informed decisions and seeing through biased reporting, which is why their blind spot feed, dedicated to showing stories underreported by the left and the right, is so important. I believe in what Ground News is doing, and I encourage you to check it out by scanning this QR code or go to ground.news/Winston. If you subscribe through my link, you'll save 40% off unlimited access. Ground News is subscriber funded, and by supporting my sponsors, you are supporting this show. So how do we make sense of the great MAGA-Right, Tech-Right divide? Well, what do they disagree on? Famously, there was the Christmas H1B visa bust-up when, on the one side, Vivek Ramaswamy and Musk, who himself stayed in America on an H1B visa, argued it's a program that can bring the best talent to America. On the other side, the MAGA-Right argued the program was not only bad for American talent who missed opportunities, but that it was even bad for foreign talent coming in who become, as Bannon argues, effectively indentured servants, creating a techno-feudalist system. And that, as a consequence, Silicon Valley is an apartheid state.
It's not just about H1B visas. It's about the central beating heart of the economic model of the apartheid state of Silicon Valley.
The H1B visa debate was not just about policy, it had a philosophical underpinning. The debate symbolized the difference in worldviews between the factions. Bannon might describe it as a split between globalists and nationalists, but I think it's more specific still. This is what British author David Goodhart described as the difference between the somewheres and the anywheres in his book, The Road to Somewhere, The Populist Revolt and the Future of Politics. Goodhart describes two types of people. The somewheres, people who have strong roots in a particular place, often with a sense of attachment to their local community or nation. They value security, familiarity, and tradition. And anywheres, this group consists of people who feel at home anywhere in the world. They are often more educated, mobile, and adapted to different cultures and environments. Their identity is less tied to a specific place, but more to their skills, education, and professional opportunities. This brings us to another great divide between MAGA and the tech bros, foreign policy. MAGA-Right is more protectionist, wanting to protect citizens, workers. I would say a traditional left-wing position and a fundamental in understanding how Trump attracted Bernie voters in 2016 and unions in 2024. Meanwhile, the tech-right have international businesses and so will be instinctively more anti-tariff and pro-free trade. After all, Elon Musk has Tesla factories in China. And as a side point, if I may, this seems to be a major vulnerability of Musk, who seems to be happy to criticize all the world's governments, but never the CCP. But Bannon goes deeper than just philosophy to delineate between his side and Musk's. The divide is, in his opinion, metaphysical. It is the difference between transhumanists' atheism and Christianity. Now, certain big names from Silicon Valley, including Musk and Peter Thiel, will be openly supportive of Christianity as fundamental for Western civilization. Their actions, on the other hand, suggest they lean further into transhumanism.
He is probably the farthest advanced for transhumanism.
So will the coalition fall apart? Well, the key to keeping it together is, of course, Trump. Here's what he said on H1B visas.
What's your position on that? Do you want to keep H1Bs or do you want to get rid of them?
I like both sides of the argument, but I also like very competent people coming into our country, even if that involves them training and helping other people that may not have the qualifications they do.
And here's what Bannon said about Trump and Musk.
He just said this on the tarmac yesterday. He said it in another, I think, interview last night. He says, I'm in charge. This guy's not co-president. He's an advisor.
But what about the long term? The key to that is Vice President J.D. Vance. As someone on X observed, in all seriousness, the right-wing religious populist versus tech-bro-libertarian civil war in the Trump admin might not play out between Musk and Vance, but within Vance himself, meaning, proportionally, there may be a lot less religious populism to go around than some previously thought. To which J.D. Vance responded, I'll try to write something to address this in detail, but I think this civil war is overstated. Though yes, there are some real divergences between the populists and the techies. But briefly, in general, I dislike substituting American labor for cheap labor. My views on immigration and offshoring flow from this. I like growth and productivity gains, and this informs my view on tech and regulation. When it comes to AI specifically, the risks are, 1, overstated, 2, difficult to avoid. One of my very real concerns, for instance, is about consumer fraud. That's a valid reason to worry about safety. But the problem is much worse if a peer nation is 6 months ahead of the US on AI. Again, I'll try to say more. Well, maybe Mr. Vice President is right that the civil war is overstated. But one thing's for sure, it's not over. Why did Bannon do a deal with the devil? Well, presumably it was to win the election. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments, which side are you on? Remember to hit subscribe, and until next time, be well.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.